Also turn now to the legal stories swirling around former President Donald Trump as the Justice Department's investigation into the classified documents found at Maralago continues. Former White House lawyer for President Trump, Ty Cobb, says this is really about Trump's role in the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
I think the president is in serious legal water, not so much because of the search, but because of the obstructive activity he took in connection with the January 6th proceeding. I think the attempts to interfere in the election count in Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and perhaps Michigan.
What do you think the possibilities are of an indictment of former President Trump?
I think they're very high.
Cobb, who served as White House counsel during the Mueller investigation, also said Trump's efforts to decertify the 2020 election were, quote, criminal and would merit prosecution.
Having classified documents, particularly if you are actively using them, could be an offense well worthy of prosecution.
Sure.
Well worthy of prosecution. But if, as I suspect,
this is about January 6th.
Yes, that is about January 6th. I think that's much different. I think that was the first time in American history that a president unconstitutionally attempted to remain in power illegally.
Again, spoken very clearly, Jonathan Lemire, by one of Donald Trump's former attorneys during the Mueller investigation. And he just underlines the fact that there are so many different legal fronts, so many legal challenges facing Donald Trump. You have a grand jury in Georgia, which, of course, is going to be delayed until after the election in November. But he has much to worry about there because of course, the recordings of his calls with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of State's conclusion that he was trying to get him to rig the election and throw out votes. Same with the call from Lindsey Graham. But you not only have Georgia, you now have these documents, these government documents that he still hasn't justified the seizing of. And then, as Ty Cobb said, sedition.
Bless you. And there's more than that, Joe. There's also, of course, the ongoing litigation in New York, the civil case into his business, which at the moment does not name him personally, but certainly if the business were to have significant legal consequences, he would suffer that as well. And of course, there's also this new revelation that DOJ is also peeking at the Trump fundraising apparatus that stopped the steal effort and after Election Day 2020, the tens of millions of dollars raised by Trump and his allies for a cause that was knowingly false and, of course, not really been spent. Trump seems to have just pocketed that money. So there'll be questions about that as well. But, of course, at the forefront is what we are seeing at Mar-a-Lago, the need for the Department of Justice to get those documents back, and now the debate over this special master. Yes, this likely also delayed until after the election, although Donald Trump's every move is being tracked right now and for clues that something else may be happening. But there's no doubt, whether it's in a few weeks or a few months, there's significant legal peril, the most he's ever faced. And those around the former president that I talk to frequently, they're nervous.
At about 4:42 this morning, the officers discovered 3 children, a 7-year-old male, a 4-year-old female, and another female who's approximately 3.5 months old on the shoreline here at the water's edge at West 35th Street in Coney Island. The officers immediately initiated life-saving measures, including CPR, on the children, and they were rushed to Coney Island Hospital, where they were regrettably pronounced deceased. So the mother was soaking wet. Whether she had been out in the rain or whether she had been in the water, again, is all speculative at this point. She was wet, she was barefoot, and she was not communicative to the officers.
Former President Trump's legal team says no thank you to the Justice Department's request to keep reviewing documents taken by the FBI from Mr. Trump's home in Florida. His lawyers filed a motion in court today. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us now. Ken, walk us through what exactly Mr. Trump's lawyers argued in court today and also what this ultimately means for the timeline in this case.
Good afternoon, Vicki. This is the Trump response to the DOJ's appeal of the judge's ruling. And what the Trump side is saying is that that this situation is at its core a document storage dispute that has spiraled out of control. And they're saying that the government wrongly seeks to criminalize the possession of presidential records by Donald Trump. They also continually refer to these records as allegedly classified, saying the question of whether they're classified will be decided later, and they note that the president has absolute declassification authority. So they are saying that they believe a special master should review all of these documents. They reject the Justice Department's argument that there is a compelling need for them to immediately get access to the 100 classified documents they seized at Maralago and to give those to the FBI to continue their investigation. The Trump side says, if it's so urgent now, why wasn't it urgent back in January when these documents were first discovered, some of them, and then back in June when the Trump side turned over some more classified documents? So it's an interesting set of arguments that essentially downplays the idea that there's any risk to national security here, Vicki.
As we've been reporting, King Charles III returned to London from Scotland to meet the new Prime Minister and address the British people for the first time as their monarch. CBS News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan joins us now with more. Margaret, how will Britain navigate this really dramatic shift, a new Prime Minister and new monarch within days?
It really is unprecedented to have it all in the same week like this. We're going to have the UK ambassador to the U.S., Dame Karen Pierce, join us to talk about all of the challenges ahead. And really, it is a key moment for the kingdom because they have this change of the monarchy at a time when the country is already facing a fairly dark winter ahead. They have the highest annual inflation rate of any developed economy right now. They're headed toward a likely recession, and they have this energy crisis, Catherine, that is going to be a problem not just for the UK, but for so many European countries, Germany, France, places that are already talking about how to go through what is likely to be a very cold winter with high prices due to Russia's war in Ukraine. So this is going to be a difficult road ahead for the new prime minister. We're going to have the ambassador weigh in on all of that. And, of course, our own Nora O'Donnell, who is there on the ground in London, talk about the next few days of mourning with the monarchy.
And this Sunday marks the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attack. Senator Mark Warner, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and retired General Frank McKenzie will join you on Face the Nation. What are you hoping to learn about the terror threat 2 decades later?
I mean, that is the key question that Americans often ask. And really, in this moment, it's sort of reframing to look at which is the largest national security threat right now. Is it the terror threat as in a traditional sense that we've defined in the past 21 years? General McKenzie, as you know, played such a key role in executing the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, a very messy and chaotic one year ago. And he's been frank since he's retired that he did not think that was the right decision. And he advised President Biden not to do what he did. So we want to talk to the general about what that terror threat is as he sees it in Afghanistan, but also the Middle East. And the argument from the Biden administration is very similar to the Trump administration, which was the U.S. shouldn't be looking there. They need to be focused on the bigger threat posed by adversaries like China. We're going to talk about that with Senator Mark Warner and also tap into his knowledge about the domestic threats and those questions about the ongoing investigation into former President Trump's classified material that the Justice Department said he had at his Florida home. Senator Warner has been calling for the intelligence community to share more information about what damage, if any, was done to national security.
Margaret Brennan, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
And remember, you can watch Face the Nation right here on CBS News. It streams at 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern every Sunday.
And in the hearts of its people, a haven and a home. My mother felt, as I do, the greatest admiration for the Scottish people, for their magnificent achievements and their indomitable spirit. And it was the greatest comfort for her to know, in turn, the true affection in which she was held. The knowledge of that deep and abiding bond must be to us a solace as we mourn the end of a life of incomparable service. If I might paraphrase the words of the great Robert Burns, my dear mother was the friend of man, the friend of truth, the friend of age, and guide of youth. Few hearts like hers with virtue warmed, few heads with knowledge so informed. While still very young, the Queen pledged herself to serve her country and her people and to maintain the principles of constitutional government. As we now mark with gratitude a promise most faithfully fulfilled, I am determined, with God's help and with yours, to follow that inspiring example. The title of Duke of Rothesay and the other Scottish titles which I've had the honour to carry for so long, I now pass to my elder son, William, who I know will be as proud as I have been to bear the symbols of this ancient kingdom. I take up my new duties with thankfulness for all that Scotland has given me, with resolve to seek always the welfare of our country and its people, and with wholehearted trust in your goodwill and good counsel as we take forward that task together.